Welcome to the Realtor Who Wines podcast. I'm Rochelle Neumeier, your hostess with the mostest, a student of life, a connector, a passionate wine enthusiast, and your local favorite guide. Join me as we explore the vibrant Pacific Northwest, savor the finest wines, and champion the spirit of entrepreneurship. Each episode, I'll sit down with inspiring guests, supporting business ownership, and uncovering the stories that make this community unique. So grab a glass of wine, settle in, and let's embark on a journey of discovery and connection together. Cheers!
Thank you for tuning in to episode 5 of The Realtor That Wines. I am here today with Lucinda Hage, and I cannot wait to dive in about all of her leadership background and coaching opportunities. Cheers to you, Lucinda, for being here. Thank you.
This is the first drink of the week.
I love that. You actually brought the bubbles today. Do you know, this is from Winters Hill. Have you been there before?
It's I've been up by it. I actually haven't had that before. It's not my usual local that I get, but they recommended it. They're up by Domaine Serene.
Yeah.
They're on the hill in Dundee.
Yeah, I see that. And it looks like bottled in McMinnville, which is awesome. Super local. And you got this at the local liquor store? Where did you buy this at?
Good company. The little cheese and German down there. So he's in charcuterie.
Yeah,
store.
I actually have not been in there yet. I really need to go check them out. I love cheese and I love wine. I don't know what.
Yeah, if you're looking for they have like everything you can get for like an Italian dinner there, and they do fresh shaved prosciutto and
I love
wine.
So for those that don't know, Lucy owns Coldwell Banker Professional Group, and she actually has 8 doors, or soon to be 8 doors. Is it officially 8 doors?
Yes.
Can we say that?
Why not?
Okay, officially 8 doors.
The door's there. The sign's there.
So it's happening. It's happening, people. But for those people that don't know you or know your background, we just talk a little bit about how you started in real estate and then got to like having 8 doors of brokerage.
So I started in real estate 20 years ago, this last September. And I never actually thought I would ever be in real estate. But I'll tell you the story of like where I think it originated from in my childhood, because I truly believe we know what we're going to be when we grow up, when we're like 6, 7 years old. Not our girls, because they're going to change like 10 times, then circle back around. Yeah. Is that when I was younger, I grew up on a ranch, and like there was nobody in my life that was like worked in an office or anything. But I always liked to play office. I don't know why. Like, I loved riding horses and working on the ranch. I was going to be a veterinarian. I was going to do all those things. But I loved to play office. And when I was 12 years old, I don't know if you remember the Viking catalogs, the Viking. So I loved looking. I looked through those, like the JCPenney wish book. Like I was like, or the Sears. It was the Sears. Remember the Sears wish book would come and all the kids would get it. I would look through the Viking office supplies. Now you know why I like it when it's like, ooh, a new office to decorate.
I love it.
And when I was 12 years old, like I wanted this executive desk, and they're like, okay. So I mowed lawns and saved up my money. It was like, I don't remember, like $160 for this executive desk.
Oh my God.
And I went with my mom to get a money order to ship off to Viking to get it. And it like this big semi-country. I mean, they're 100 miles from Bend. So they're like in the middle of nowhere. You can't buy a desk anywhere. And it got shipped in a truck all by itself, because it was the only office supplies being delivered to this little tiny town. It rolls up the door, and there's my little and it was huge. I had to, like, my dad was a contractor, so he had helped me carry it upstairs and put it together. It took up like half my room. It's still up in that room in my parents' house, because she's like, it's too big to like.
We need a picture.
But I remember I would like write office memos. I wasn't playing realtor, because I don't even know that reference point of what that was existed, but I was somebody. I was a boss. I was definitely the boss.
Owner.
I had 10 secretaries whenever they would come in and play with me. And
Mr. Fair, bring me my paper.
Yeah. And I was always on a diet and cranky. Like, I don't know what I got that from, but I was the boss, and I was always on a diet and cranky. So, not that I'm saying I'm cranky now, but I'm usually always on a diet. So, but I think that like instilled in me a little, but I went on like I was going to be a massage therapist. I was going to be a landscape designer. I was going to be a paramedic. And that was actually the path I was on when I met somebody and got married and moved to the Valley from Central Oregon. And he was like, I don't like that for you. Like, that's, crazy hours. You're gonna be around doctors and firefighters. What do you want?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, he's like,
you're going to
you should be a realtor. Like, he's like, and I bought this course.
Married men that have wives.
I bought this. Little did he know what our job really entails. I was like, he's like, I bought this course like 11 months ago and it's going to expire. And in his closet was like this pro school books. And he's like, you should be, because at the time his sister was like selling real estate. It was like number one in the area. So she was doing great. And he's like, this is what you should do. And I was like, okay. And I know it's a real glamorous story. It wasn't like I didn't love houses. I didn't know what I was doing. But when I told like my family and stuff that that's what I was going to do, and I raced through the course because I'd been taking medical courses, which were not multiple choice. And I'm like, this is multiple choice, guys. This is great.
Sounds
And
amazing.
I got my license, and I really had no idea what I was doing. But like my family's like, yeah, that's a good fit for you. And I interviewed around at a bunch of offices, but I had an aunt that worked for Coldwell Banker in Seattle. And that was the only, I was like, oh yeah, Aunt Susan worked for Coldwell Banker. So I'm going to go in there. And I interviewed, they were the most professional office I interviewed, no offense to anybody I interviewed with, but they were. And Nancy Flynn was the manager then. And she did like a professional interview. And I was like, this is where I belong.
Yeah.
And I've been there. I've been with the brand ever since. So.
That is so funny how like your journey started as a kid and stuff. If I was doing what I thought I would be doing as a kid, I would be an announcer at like a theme park. Like I loved the feeling I got at a theme park, which actually kind of ties back in. But like when you're at like Universal Studios and like the show's over and they're like, and enjoy the rest of your day at Universal Studios. I wanted to be that person because I loved like the feeling it gave me. But it just reminds me that's actually why I love real estate, is being a part of those big moments and like moments that have emotion invoked and part of it. And so it is kind of.
Well, I think in real estate we get to do everything, right?
Yeah,
we get to be like our own little social media stars. We get to do what whatever we really like, whatever direction you want to take that is you're most passionate about. Because some people, honestly, they love property and helping people invest in property and doing that.
Equity and generational wealth and all those things.
And I found like my demographic when I first got in was a lot of seniors. And that's what, I loved about getting into the medical industry is like there was a lot of seniors around that had retired because my parents lived in not a retirement area, but it was like attract a lot of people that were retired. And I always loved helping them and being around them. And so when I got into real estate, I still got to work with that demographic and help them in that next step in their life. And when I was and then I also had like an agricultural background growing up on a ranch. And so I sold a lot of land and farms and ranches. And
which a lot of agents don't specialize in that. Like that's a whole unique transaction with a ton of different questions and investments or inspections and all of that stuff. Like just it's a totally different ball game. How long were you an agent before you transitioned into a leader role and then further onto an owner?
So what I loved about where I went to work originally in McMinnville was she wanted me to do a business plan. And it was simple, but I sat down and was like, what's your goal? And well, I came from a family of entrepreneurs. My dad owned his own business. And I was like, well, I want to work up the ladder kind of. So I was like, I put down that in 4 years, I wanted to be a manager and owner. And then I kind of forgot about it. Like, you do your business plan and goes in the door and you're like, oh, forget it. And then all this chaos of trying to learn to sell and what that meant. And then the recession hit and, the market got nuts. But in that time, I didn't change brands, but I moved to the Newburgh branch and I went to work with Chris Horn, and she owned the office there and it was just thriving. But then when the recession hit, we went from like 45, 50 agents down to just like a core group of like 12 agents. And we moved into a new space. And I didn't have any children. My husband at the time had lost his job. And so I was just like, I'm just going to go to work every day. Like, I just knew we were selling foreclosures. We were selling short sales. I was just in the office all day long. So I really bonded with the owner and started helping her because she'd also had let all the staff go. And then she was kind of like, why don't you be my partner? And she really needed a partner to come on and help her with the workload. And I was there all the time anyway. So I partnered with her and then in like a year or so. So that was about my 4th year, even though I didn't realize that that's what I'd wrote down. I was about 4 years in, and I partnered with her. And within about a year, I bought her out and was the sole owner because she was ready to kind of retire and get out of the management side. And I think at the time that I purchased it outright, we had maybe 7 active agents. And then we just kind of grew from there. And I reopened the McMinnville. That was my first growth, is I wanted that, because during the recession, the McMinnville office where I started had closed, and I wanted to reopen that. So I reopened that. And then I got, all of a sudden, found out I was pregnant, which during that process, surprise. And then like a year after I opened McMinnville, the opportunity to purchase out at the coast came up. A lot of owners after the recession were just ready to retire. And so I bought the coast and expanded out there, and then ended up buying Eugene. And then now we've got Westland and Tillamook, and just keep growing. It's kind of like having kids. Yeah. You got one, might as well have.
And you don't have a favorite, right? Wink, wink.
I don't know. I love that we've moved back into the original building where I started in McMinnville. And it's kind of cool because like I get to be in the office where I originally started, and the previous owner, she's actually come and visited for our grand opening. And it's, the previous owner of the Newburgh office, she's still around. And I love the legacy ones, the offices that had a legacy to them. And Newburgh's was my first one I owned, and but every single one of them, I've moved into. I bought the furniture, obviously.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part. Yeah. It's going furniture.
Executive desk for everyone.
Yeah, executive desk for everyone. What's ironic now is I usually sit at the puniest little desk off at Porter's room where I don't even have an executive desk that I sit at anymore. But I do, the ones that I don't know. I don't really think I have a favorite necessarily. I'm definitely live in Yamhill County, so I'm in these the most. But they're all do great, and there's great agents in all of them. And
for anybody that's thinking about getting into real estate, what is a piece of advice that you would give them, and where they should get education, or what kind of questions they should ask when interviewing with a brokerage? I mean, I know that's kind of 2 separate questions, but just any guidance that you would provide someone that's brand new.
I think for me, the reason everybody says, well, why do you think you had success in it? And it's just definitely agents in my company have had far more sales success than I had in my career. But is look at it a lot of people get in thinking they have a lot of flexibility. They're like, oh, I'm going to have all this flexibility and I can work from home. And go into it thinking that you're going to go and be like an executive at an office, and you're going to go to work every day, and you're going to dress up and even though you may not meet with a client that day, you may not have a workload on your plate. Run yourself in a structured lifestyle. Get into this knowing you're going to have a structured lifestyle. You're going to go to work every day. This is going to be a full-time career.
And think of it as a business owner. And a lot of agents don't think about it as you technically own your own business. You're running your own book of business too.
Yeah. And you're going to be responsible for that. You don't get a paycheck. You can't call in. There's no calling in sick. You don't get to go on vacation whenever you want to.
Yeah.
Because instead of just having one boss, you have 20, because all of your clients are going to dictate a lot of times to you what your schedule is. And I see the most successful ones. I think they just recently did a study, and they said agents that come in and work for an office environment at least 3 days a week are 200 times more successful than the agents that don't. And that's why I believe in the brick and mortar of having traditional offices still. But, as far as getting the schooling, I'm not going to say it's easy, because I know there's some out there that still say it's really hard. But, it's 150 hours online. I taught real estate school in the college for many, many years. And I definitely see the success rate of people that come and go to a scheduled class in person, have an experienced instructor. They have a better passing rate of the test and sticking with it. But it's certainly available online through, multiple platforms. And I would just say give yourself a deadline, though. Don't say I'm going to get it and I have a whole year to take it. I'm going to get it and I'm going to finish it in 3 months is a good cycle to finish it in. And just remember, the test only teaches you how to pass the state test and federal
compliance.
test.
Yeah, mostly around compliance, not actually about running a business, getting clients, all of that kind of stuff. Prospecting.
Yeah, when real estate school teaches you how to pass the state exams. And then after you get out of the state exams, then you're going to have to learn how to sell real estate. And so when you're interviewing for an office, it always bugs me when agents, when they're new and they just took their test, they want to know what their split is. Well, not that that isn't important, but more importantly, you need to know what the training process is. Who's going to train you? Is your mentor there? Is your broker going to compete with you? Are you coming into an office where there's support staff and marketing staff? And those were the things that I found were really valuable for an agent's success. And one of the reasons I implement those things into our office, I always think we could provide better training. Like I always think there's got to be a better way to really teach people the art of selling. And but a lot of agents get in this business. I always used to ask at the beginning of my class, why real estate? Why'd you get into real estate? Or why do you want to get into real estate? And so many, I want to say like 80% of them would say, well, I love houses. Like I watch HGTV.
Gotta love people.
And I was like, wrong answer. I was like, it is 10% about the house. Yeah. And, it's 90% about the people. And most people think they're going to get into real estate. They're more reclusive type people that don't want to be around other people. Like they're like, they're more introverted. And I was actually a very introverted person. And you're looking at me like I'm lying. It's
true. I believe it. I feel like you're an introvert that has extrovert tendencies. Like when you have to be an extrovert, you are, but you recharge at home alone in the quiet.
Yeah, I am a force extrovert. Yeah. Like my natural tendency is to be introverted in social environments. Like I used to have a huge fear of social environments, actually. Like I'm comfortable in the horse barn, but I don't really like going out and intentionally talking to people. But I think you can learn that. And if you're passionate about what you do, it's really easy to go and talk about things that you love. And so not saying an introverted person, this isn't the career for them.
Yeah,
I think you have
different skills.
Yeah. So you have to be passionate about success and what you want to do in life. Otherwise, you're going to just constantly struggle with that inner feeling like, I don't want to talk to people.
Yeah. And then in the meantime, just get yourself an extroverted friend.
Yes.
From when you're in social situations.
It's true, though, right? You take that buddy. Like, I have a couple of them are still around here. The ones that will talk to anybody. I'm like, you're going with me because I don't want to talk to anybody.
The first time I ever took any kind of personality test, I was like, how do you process things? And like, are you an introvert, an extrovert? It's like on a scale from 1 to 100. And I was a 97 extrovert. And the guy goes, whoa, I've never seen that. I was like, ta-da. Yeah, I was not. I was like, I come off as I'm an analytical driver, like, and I'm more on the introverted spectrum. And they also say they don't know what quadrant to put me in when I take those tests because it's like very polar opposite. Yeah. Like but I like to say that I overanalyze things very quickly and then make an irrational decision. Like I'm not like the driver takes over and is like, but I want to take the risk. Like I want to go. Yeah. Let me do it. Yeah. Don't let me think about things too long because then I'll say no. Like that's why I was like, I don't want to decide what our questions were before today because then I'll overthink it. Like, let's just go into the room. I can't write my speeches before I go into something because I'll overanalyze it. Like I know. I always write a speech and then when I get there, I'm like, I'm not going to write this. And then I just go off that cuff. But then you have it because you did write something down. It's still like in your brain. You're trying to remember the script. You're like, or you're just like, it's a reference. So you're like, oh yeah, I was going to talk about this, but you have a little bit of confidence. But yeah, I would much rather just off the cuff a lot of stuff. Clearly, if you've watched any of the episodes before this, we just go. Come as they go. But I think that when you're passionate about what you're doing, and it doesn't have to be about houses, but I think if you're passionate about people, and like I found that I really love people. Yeah. Like even being introvert, like I love people's stories and I love their lives, and like my clients would become my friends. And like obviously now, like I don't buy and sell homes with people a lot anymore. My agents, and like it's really hard not to become friends. I got 120 agents and some of them I haven't even met yet because they're in other offices I haven't been to, but the ones I get to meet, like I want to know everything about them. Like I want to know, what's their home life like, what's their goals, and and I love hearing all those stories. And I think that's why I gravitated once I got into leadership more towards the coaching side of it, because when you train, you're just talking at somebody and telling them how to do something. When you coach somebody, you're finding out what their needs are, what their fears are, what their goals and dreams are, and you get to actually help them.
help them and build rapport with them and invest in them. And it's just that's how you want the relationship to be with your clients too. Like you don't want to just sell them a house. You want to find out, why do they need a house, and why do they need a 3-bedroom versus a 4-bedroom, or what are their goals, and then you're actually being part of the journey with them, instead of just like, I can sell you a house. It's like, no, I can help you achieve like a dream and a goal that you're trying to get to.
Yeah. I think I look at training as a tool, like you're giving someone a tool, and then coaching is how to leverage that tool and what to do with that tool. Yeah. So it's like, now you have the skill, but what do you do with it and how to move it forward? So I think for any new agent, it's really important to like find a brokerage that offers a lot of training and gives you a big foundation, and then also knows how to take you to the next level once you have that foundation. I think that's one way that Coldwell Banker Professional Group stood out to me differently, is that there is that next level. So there is the training, just get you going, the fundamentals, the foundation. But then like once you've been in the business like 3 years, now what? 5 years, now what? 10 years, now what? And there's a lot of coaching and guidance on how to keep scaling and how to build a bigger business, which I think is so important. So as you're interviewing brokerages, definitely ask that, like, hey, what happens when I hit 5 years? What do you have to offer me once I'm like rocking and rolling? And how do you help me at that point too? Because you're at different stages. And I think that's something cool that you've really focused on as you've continued to open doors, is to make sure everybody at each office understands that, for sure.
Yeah. And I think it's really important to have a 5-year, 10-year vision when you're starting out in this industry, because I don't think if my first broker hadn't made me think about that, I would have got us stuck in the right now. Mm-hmm. And I have to be honest, I was in my early 20s. Like I was 22 when I started, I think. So I don't even know that I quite grasp what the recession was when it hit. Sure. Like I didn't really understand, okay, I should be afraid of this. Mm-hmm. And I just kept coming into work every day. And so I was the top sales agent, mm-hmm. through that, because I didn't really understand what it even meant to have a downturn market. I didn't know what an up market was. Like this is normal. This was just, you go into work every day, you talk to people, you find out, you still just look for people to help every day. And early on, like someone gave me a Zig Ziglar little quote book. Actually, she still works here. It said you can have everything in life that you want if you just help everyone else get what they want. And so I just looked every day for people to help. Yeah. And whether I tease our agents sometimes, like I'm like, you think it's hard like right now finding clients? I was like, during the recession, we would wait for like the hot foreclosure to hit the market, and then you'd like get a coffee and sit outside that, hoping buyers were going to come to look at it. Like we would stock these good deals to find buyers, because there wasn't a lot of sales going on. So it was you might have a full roster of people, but nobody was moving, nobody was buying and selling during that time. And now our market is fantastic compared to that market. But it's still that's the point I see. I was just talking to my manager about it today. Is like, what kind of is that stopping for to keep an agent where that failure to launch? And it's usually something inside them. So I could train them and tell them all day long what they should do, but until they get over whatever that fear is that's stopping them from taking that next step, it's really just about meeting people and liking people and wanting to talk to people. Yeah. And building that trust. I mean, of course, you have to know how to fill out a contract and understand negotiations, because you want to do a good job for them. Yeah. Like you can be the most likable person, have a ton of friends, and they're like, well, but you don't want to lure anyone's money. Yeah. Yeah. Don't. So that training side of it, we focus on pretty heavily to make sure they do a good job and have mentorship all the way through the transactions till they understand the process and can do it on their own. But the other side of it is almost like counseling them through to get over the fears in their life. And if I had like someone coaching me like that, I mean, I had great managers, but if I'd had somebody really figuring out that I was an introverted person and I needed to get over that, and coaching me through and giving me, challenging me more, right, I probably would have been even farther along. Yeah, I think that too, because obviously I've gone through lots of different coaching programs with you and your mentors and things, and I've also thought that, like, dang, I wish I knew this my first year. I would have had a totally different
couple first years, and having someone, the coaching piece is just also like the accountability. Like, are you coming into the office? Are you prospecting? Are you meeting new people? Because I think a lot of people just expect like, well, I'm an agent now. Someone's going to call me to like sell their house. And even your own sphere is not going to call you because not everyone is paying attention to what you're doing. And if you're not talking about it, they don't know about it.
I know I didn't know anybody when I moved here. Like I was from Central Oregon and I moved up here and became an agent within 3 months of living here. And the only people I knew was my husband and his sister was a real estate agent.
Showing our house.
I was like, she was not buying a house for me. He didn't even buy his first house for me. He bought it from her. So,
and that's why I divorced.
Yeah, and that's why we're not together anymore. But I think
lesson learned.
He still owns that house. At least I'm convinced that if he ever does go to sell it, he will use me to sell it.
He would be a fool not to.
Yeah, that'd be just silly. But I think that for me, like what helped me actually be as successful as I was, is that I did just get up and go to work every single day. And, that office at the time, like you came in and worked on the weekends, even like we took shifts on the weekend.
Yeah, floor time.
And you came in on floor time, and we didn't have Zillow and the internet and all of that. Then we didn't even have, utilize our cell phones. We didn't have laptops. Like if you were going to use your computer, you went into the office to use your computer. And I remember when the first smartphone came out too, the girls in the office, like we were the first ones to like get a smartphone. And do you remember that like they were huge, these big Palm Pilot things, and you could just barely check your email on it. There's no social media marketing. There was no buying leads. They literally handed me a phone book, a Rolodex. Like my desk came with, it was a really nice executive desk. That might have lured me in too. But she was like,
Rolodex. You're like, done and done.
I know.
The dotted.
I was like, this is great. And she gave me a phone book and she's like, just start calling people. I'm like, I don't know, through a phone book and call people. Like I'm from rural Central Oregon. Like you start going through the phone book and calling people, you're going to get in trouble. But, they taught me about farming and door knocking and all of those things to get to, because I just had to meet people. Like I didn't, and where I found actually, where I met the most people that helped me be successful was like chamber and going and meeting business owners and having business connections in the community. And then just, when you go out to eat lunch or anything, like you talk to people, you just start conversations. And, but we didn't have all the tools to leverage.
I actually think about that a lot when I'm trying to get to a house and it's like in a part of a town that I haven't, like, I know the town, but I haven't been to that part of town. And I'm like, this is why agents used to just specialize in certain neighborhoods or certain towns, because there's no way, even if you had your map out and all this stuff, like, how would you find how would you find this random road in this other town that you don't frequent and stuff, which is like so different because now you have people that specialize all over. But
I know it's just because I used to have to use a Thomas guide, and I don't know if it's a blonde hair thing, or I know that I have, like, my boyfriend swears that that's the best thing in the world. I'm like, no, it's not. It's very confusing. I can't figure it out. And then so I would map quest my showings. Then you know how when they changed, or they're like, we decided we don't want to see this house. And they're like, but that's how my map quest is lined out.
And I don't like where to go from here.
I think like my second year in, my husband bought me a Garmin thing, and I think they were like $700 back then, and I thought this was the best thing ever. Like, it saved my
life changer.
I'm like, I was in like, I'm gonna show houses everywhere. Like, you want to change course? That's okay. Like and like now you can get in your car and say, take me to 123 Elm Street, and your car just drives you there. So I mean,
you can even schedule a showing at a showing.
And lockbox. Do you remember the little combo code things that you had to twist it to the right? I would have to get to the house a half hour before my client because I could not figure those things out. And then,
so what you're saying is it's never been a better time.
But this is the benefit in real estate. I'm like, what? You press a button and put your code in. Your phone opens the lockbox. This is genius. Like, we didn't have those things.
What is something that you've learned being a leader and an owner in this industry? Like, what are some like life lessons that you've learned in your leadership role?
Boy, that's a deep
question. pivoting.
I was like, life lessons. I could tell you all.
You're like something like a business owner, somebody that's like thinking about following in your footsteps someday, and like they want their own brick and mortar like door. Like, what is something that you learned or you wish you would have known ahead of time?
Well, when I had actually fabulous partnership experience when I first bought the company, so I'm not saying this, but partnerships are really, I had one other partnership that could have like trajectoried me out of the business, and no offense, we've made up since then, but
But that's the time.
yeah, but at the time, like that was, I didn't understand like going into a 50-50 partnership was a really bad idea. And now, I learned that early on, and that was a good thing. I do also know, if you want a really true life lesson, if you're going to buy a business, get a prenup. That was another good life lesson. Yeah. If you own your own business and you're married, this is a community property estate. It's 50-50 split unless you have a prenup. Yes. But that was a big, because that was a big hurdle in owning a business. That was a big setback, is going through a divorce and owning a company. But I probably the best advice that I got, because going into ownership during the recession was not going into debt. And if you have to go into debt to go into business, it's not a really great idea. Like, save and wait. Going into debt and going into any business is never good. And I know that there's great, fabulous business loans out there and everything, but I've coached and worked with businesses for years now, and the biggest problem I see is when they get over their head into debt. And that's the biggest closure thing, is usually their debt outweighs what their income is, and they can't. And you think you're going to have another good year and you're going to be able to get ahead. But one reason why businesses aren't profitable for years and years and years is because they usually take out a huge business loan in order to get into it. Doesn't mean that you can't leverage your assets afterwards. And so, like, definitely I've had debt on businesses before when I bought them, but it's manageable debt, and it's not starting off with a brand new business going into it with a big debt payment.
Well, then that also just adds stress, because then all you're focused on is like paying off the debt, like money. And then you're cutting corners in other areas.
Well, that would be my advice for agents. Yeah. Like, if you don't have 6 months worth of expenses in your bank account when you go into real estate, don't quit your job. Don't quit your day job, because it's going to be, even though I really encourage you to be full-time when you get in, it's like, have 6 months worth of expenses in your bank account. Because the agents thought, like, we have a very high failure rate in this industry, like it's over 80%. And I think it's because they have a gap in transactions and paychecks, and they live on their credit cards, and they get it over their head, and they go, I've got to get another job. And then once you get another job, it's really hard to balance staying consistent in sales, and you're not the best option for the consumer a lot of times if you are working another full-time job somewhere else. I'm not saying it can't be done. It just makes life a lot harder when you do it that way.
Well, and very long days too, because if you're working a full-time job during the day and then you're doing showings at night on the weekends, like, you're going to get burnt out really fast too. And you're also still not going to be your 100% at your day job or for the clients that you're serving as an agent too.
Yeah. And I mean, I basically, when I bought the company, it was a recession. I was still selling in order to keep the company afloat even. And that was like working 2 jobs, and there's very little left over of you at the end of the day. Yeah. Even like maintaining a personal life or, having a relationship, obviously probably why I have 2 failed marriages. But I think that it's, you have to look at what you want your lifestyle to be. And being an entrepreneur and owning your own business and being in real estate, it's like you have to be willing to sacrifice a lot of your freedom. Like, I mean, we both are, we're not, I'm not going to say single moms, because we have technically, yeah. But yeah, technically we're single moms most of the time. And you can bring your children to work, and that's some of the flexibility that is amazing, is letting them be a part of it. And I wouldn't trade that for anything, because they learn a work ethic and they get to be part of it. But as far as thinking that you're going to be able to just have the freedom to, be ladies at lunch, it's not going to happen.
So many people say that, like, oh, I got into real estate, or I want to get into real estate because of the freedom. I wouldn't call it freedom. It's a dynamic schedule. Like, it moves. So it's not like a strict 8 to 5 and you can't leave unless you're on a lunch break or something like that. So, but it's still like, I still work anywhere from 40 to 50 hours a week. It's just I kind of choose when those hours are, or my clients choose for me. But I do have the freedom to take Rylan to school, or I do have the freedom to get her to a dentist appointment if I need to, because I schedule around it. And like when I had a corporate job, I had to have permission to do those things. But yeah, I think coming in with a mindset of it's still a job and it's still a lot of hours, especially if you want to be successful at it and you're helping a lot of people.
I would say I haven't had, I don't want to say a real job, but I haven't worked for anybody else on a W-2 in 20 years. And it was funny because I told my dad, so he used to always tell us, like when we were kids, is like, if you want to, because I was homeschooled, and so it's like, you better do that. If you want to ever work in the real world, like you're going to have to get it. And so I always tell my dad, I'm still not working in the real world. Like I still don't have.
By the way, polish my desk.
Yeah. Like I'm still not working in the real world. But I try to tell my daughter that because she's gotten kind of spoiled with the fact that her daddy's also in real estate, and it's like she gets whiny when he's got showings and stuff and can't be there. And I'm like, if we had real jobs, which we do have real jobs,
right?
But I was like, we would be gone during the day.
Yeah.
Like we wouldn't be able to be with you. Like we wouldn't be picking you up from school. Like I don't know how working moms that work 9 to 5 jobs do it. Like I guess your kids go into after school care and or family, but I don't have family here. Like I wouldn't have anybody to pick her up. So I think that it's important that people getting into it realize like that does, or people that are thinking about getting out of it. Like if you've become accustomed of like being able to have the flexibility of having lunch with your significant other or go and pick your kids up from school, it's something you give up when you have like a traditional 9 to 5 job.
Right. Definitely. What is something that you have on the horizon? Like what's one of your goals as far as like in leadership? Like how do you want to continue growing and developing?
Total world domination. Yes. Preach it, please. I don't know. I had a meeting this morning. He's like, "Do you want to take you're going to be the biggest Coldwell in Oregon if you do this." And I'm like, "Oh, man, I already did that." Like I already number 1 in the state. But really, honestly, my goal right now, focus for this year and next year, if it doesn't happen completely this year, is like I want all of my agents to average a 6-figure income, and I want all of my staff to average a 6-figure income. And that sounds, I hate to make it about money, but the thing is, I have found what money does for them, so it changes their life. I've watched it from having part-time employees that I could then put full-time, and how that changed their life to be able to afford a home. And, just face it, like it takes a 6-figure income to own a home in our area that we're living in, because the median home price is over $500,000. And so I think it's really.
It almost takes a 6-figure income to buy eggs. What do you mean?
Yeah, I know, right? It takes a 6-figure income to bake these days. Like, but I want them to be able to have all the opportunities that are available. And so I really am focused in, even though I like growth and I love to buy some more companies and expand into other regions, because I love the state and traveling around and participating. And I'd love to have new agents come on with the company and share that vision with them and help them reach those goals. But the people that I have with me now, like my important thing this year and until I reach that goal is getting them to all realize an average 6-figure. Now I have agents with me that don't want to make 6 figures this year, because they're like, that's going to screw up my retirement. That's going to mess up our tax bracket, because they have another. So I'm not going to force anybody to do it, but I would like our
6
average
figures a year out.
And I have agents with me that made $1 million last year. Like, so they're going to average, going to average it out. But to hit my goals for my team and my staff, like that's what it would take. And then to those agents that do want to get there, I want to provide every bit of support and coaching and training that they need to get there. And, always like, I love to look at our, at the end of the year and see how many homes we sold and how many families and lives that we touched. So
the community.
Yeah. And I want to provide the best experience for the consumer. So in that process of getting all my agents to that point, I'll know that that many more consumers got good quality care and they got their goals filled and realized. So
that's one thing too that I like about Coldwell Banker Professional Group is the communities that we're in. We're in a little bit more smaller rural areas, like our offices are. Like obviously our agents service all over. Westland's not that small, but because of that, like we participate in the local parades, we participate in all the local community events, and then we actually still get a lot of walk-ins where people come in and say, hey, I have questions about real estate. And sometimes when you're in different areas and different like corporate, like those corporate offices, that's like multiple companies and one big like
office park.
Yes, yes. That doesn't happen because people don't even know to go there to like to find you. So that's just something else I would say. Like if you're thinking about getting into the industry, like when you're interviewing different brokerages, like, hey, what's your foot traffic like? Do people come in? Because that's one way as a new agent is if you are working floor time is to get people coming in off the street and like being able to help them.
Yeah. And I'm definitely from a small town, and I love our offices in the rural areas. Like we have an office in Eugene, which is the second largest metro city in Oregon. But if you go to that office, you'll see it's like in kind of a cute downtown type community feel where you still have that walk in and you know the neighbors and you talk to people in the parking lot. And my goal was really, and they originally, when I bought them, they were over in a big office park where you didn't see anybody around you. Like there was no walk in. It was you went up an elevator into an office park, and they still were selling and it was working for them. But I like that feel of it for an office. And even in Westland, though that's a bigger metro area, like we are in like the original, what it was, the original general store in the little town of Westland. It's like very country town in the middle of the city.
Yeah. No, I love that. Well, and then it just also we get to participate because we are like working with the local community. And so it's nice to see them outside of real estate transactions, like doing other things with them, like trick-or-treating and things like that. Like they all come up and down the main street and we're out there participating in that. And I love it.
Those are still like my favorite part of it is participating when we do the parades, when we do the downtown candy handout, when we get out and we are with the community. We used to do downtown cleanups, and we haven't done that in a while. We need to get COVID kind of got rid of a lot of our things that we used to do out the community events. You know, they're coming back. We have Art Walk though, and in here, and Lincoln City participates in a lot of stuff. Now we're just opening up in Tillamook, and that has a very hometown feel to it. And
one like McMinnville, the Yamhill County Fair is just down the street when that happens. Like there's just still a lot of like community events even by that office too.
Yeah. We've had, food trucks that come in the parking lot and things that we wouldn't get if we were in the bigger metro areas. Not that I'm completely opposed to going into those areas, but that part of real estate, I think gets lost a lot of times in the bigger city, even though I know there's agents that still have a wonderful community that they build inside that I love the tradition of real estate where it was you just walked in the door. And people walk in our door that they're not necessarily looking to buy houses. They want to know what's the best restaurant right around here. Where's there a local tax account? Where can I get, where's the next, charger station for my electric car? Like, I mean, we get all kinds of questions that come.
Ice cream.
Yeah. Where do I get ice cream or coffee?
Yeah.
And I feel like real estate agencies used to be like the hub of information because the realtor knew everything. Like you knew the whole town, you knew where everything was. You had a Thomas guide. You could find a map you could print out a map for them, like it. Yeah. You could circle. We used to order every year. We'd order thousands and thousands of city maps. We don't know this anymore. We used to order thousands of city maps. We would brand the whole back of it with our agents that were in the office, and people would come to our office to get city maps. And then when people would come into town that were just touristing around, we would circle things for them to visit on the map. And we all knew the map really well of the city. Yeah. And I mean, that really wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
And now nobody really asks that anymore. I mean, people still walk in the door and ask where to go for things. Sometimes people walk in and think for a bank still. And
I know. Yeah.
Colleen tells them we only take cash deposits. But like, is this where you yeah. But I think that, it just depends on like the individual agent of what they're looking for out of a company. But definitely having our small town feel and our old traditional training modules and coaching, we still have one of the biggest tech stacks of any of the companies around. That's what's great about being part of the bigger brand is like they do take, they have the huge national commercials, they have the big connection, they have all of that. But then we get to decide as franchisees how we're going to run our local branches. And if we want to keep with that traditional model and use the technology on the side, because I think you could have all the technology available to you in the world, and if you can't go talk to people and build relationships, you'll never be successful in real estate.
For sure. And I agree with you. Like, the one thing I love about this job is being the connector, is knowing all those things. Like, that's also why I wanted to do a podcast, because I was like, I know so many amazing people with amazing stories, and I like connecting them with other people. And that's just like, I kind of wish we had a map where I could be like, go check this, go check this.
We could probably go to McGinn if you wanted to. We won't get us a sand drawn on. Maybe only order 50 of them.
These are Rochelle's maps.
Yeah, now ever since they put Google Maps on people's phones, they stopped coming in and asking for maps. But people still love to come in and, they come in for the properties. I remember actually one of my biggest, most successful things when I would advertise in our local real estate guide, and people would come in every day to get those. And if you put an ad in it, people would just call you. Like, you'd get a listing and you'd get 50 calls off that listing out of the real estate guide. And it's really sad. Like, that's completely gone away. I mean, I think it still exists, but like that opportunity for people to call you off an ad in a magazine just went away. Like, our industry's completely changed in the last 20 years.
I was actually in our Newburgh office the other day, and someone came in because we had the wine magazine, because we're in wine country, and we had a wine magazine on the window, and they came in, they're like, can I have that? And we're like, yeah, sure, take it. But it was like a list of all the wineries in the area and stuff too. So to your point, people still like poke their head in just to be like, hey, can I have this? And you're like,
sometimes they do come for the wine maps, like the wine touring maps and that magazine. But I like having that being that storefront that people can stop for information.
Yeah. For the seasoned agent that's like ready, like they're just kind of feeling stale and like, oh, I want my business to go to the next level, what would be something you would say to them or prompt them to like make a move in a different way?
Well, I think everybody's business is individual. Like, I mean, there might be a seasoned agent that's doing 10 transactions a year, or maybe you're seasoned and you're doing 30 and you want to do 50. It kind of depends on where they're at and where they want to go.
So let's just say, like, if you're a seasoned agent that averages 20 transactions a year, but you're ready to go to 40, what would you tell them to like build their business or take their business to the next level?
Well, I'd look at what they were doing already. Like, I'm like, okay, where did your 20 deals come from? And usually it's, they're depending on if they've been buying leads or if they've been working their sphere in their database and what opportunities have available for them. So I go through anybody before I coach them or give them, I'll give free advice all the time, but I usually have them do a business plan. So if you were asking me in the elevator, I wouldn't have you fill out a business plan first. Here's a business plan to fill out. But I would start by asking questions. Well, what are you doing now? Like, what are you doing now to get business, and where's your business coming from right now? And then what other opportunities are available to you? Because most agents, like, they usually have one or two ways that they're getting business. Like, either social networking, working their sphere, or maybe they're buying leads, or maybe they've got a little bit of farming going, or maybe they have a referral source from a lot of people, their significant other sends a lot of referrals from whatever industry they're in.
Sure.
And so I usually like to try and get them to add another pillar to grow their business with. And so if they want to double it, like, okay, if you have a big sphere of influence and you're not really doing anything with it right now, but you're getting organic referrals from them just because you're friendly and they know you and like you and trust you, what would happen if we took your database and sphere of 600 people and actually started marketing to direct marketing to them and cultivating that into better relationships and asking them if they had referrals for you, because each one of those people know another 100 people. And so are all of them giving you referrals, or are they just calling you when they think about what they need? And so it depends on the agent and really what they're doing. And I've certainly had agents come with me that all their business has come from is buying leads, and they never cultivate those relationships into referrals down the road or repeat business. And some of them have huge databases that they're like, I send him a Christmas card.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what if you sent them more than a Christmas card? Like, what if you were in front of them more? What if you developed that relationship more? And usually you can double an agent's business just by kind of digging into what opportunities are already available. Like, I don't like to tell an agent to buy a lead because I don't think that that's the organic way of like building a relationship, even though it works great for some people. I do believe in like direct mail marketing and agents getting out, just talking to people, and sometimes cold calling, sometimes working people that have had, we've had great success with people that had their listings expire and we look at why didn't it sell, and they're like, well, the agent didn't do any marketing. The pictures were horrible. It was overpriced, or, they didn't do anything to market your property. We have an agent that will actually market your property and make sure the pictures are professionally taken, do video on it, and do extra things that will get the property sold. And so, I mean, there's so many avenues in which they can grow their business.
If someone was like, hey, I like what I'm hearing and I want to like explore Coldwell Banker Professional Group, or I'm interested, Lucy also does coaching for agents that aren't with like in our offices. How would someone get in touch with you? Do they just contact you through the website or call one of our offices?
They can call any of the offices and ask for Lucinda or Lucy, and they're going to get directed to me. My personal cell line is still out there. You can Google it.
We're not putting it on the podcast.
Yeah, you can if you want. Like I have social media. You can contact me through my social media.
That's true.
But no, I'm going to be like, call Rochelle. Rochelle will help you. Yeah, just call Rochelle. Rochelle knows where I'm at.
That's true too.
We live like 3 blocks apart from each other, and our kids love to play together, so we know where to find each other.
Speaking all the facts, for sure. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that information today for like agents and how agents can grow, and a little bit about owning a brokerage and what that looks like. I really appreciate you for coming on. Thank you. I'd like to say cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
See you next time.
Have a good one.